My name is Linda Parker, and I never thought I would end up telling my story to the world. I was once a wife, a mother, and a woman who thought she had it all figured out. For 25 years, I was married to David Parker, a steady and reliable man from Dallas, Texas. We raised 3 children together: Emily, Michael, and Sophie. On the surface, our life looked picture perfect. We had a modest but beautiful house in the suburbs, family cookouts on weekends, and a tradition of Sunday dinners where everyone gathered around the table. David wasn't flashy. He wasn't the kind of man who showered me with extravagant gifts, but he was consistent. He worked as an electrician, provided for the family, and never once strayed from his responsibilities. But somewhere along the way, I convinced myself that I was missing something. The beginning of dissatisfaction. It started slowly. After our youngest, Sophie, left for college, I began feeling restless. The house grew quiet, and I suddenly had too much time to think. I would scroll through social media and see women my age traveling, dating again, finding themselves, and living glamorous lives. David, on the other hand, was content with routine. He loved watching football in the evenings, fixing things around the house, and grilling burgers on the weekends. For him, life didn't need to change. For me, it felt like I was stuck in the same cycle over and over. I started resenting the little things: the way he fell asleep on the couch after dinner, the way he wore the same old sneakers, the way he never wanted to go out dancing or take spontaneous trips. I told myself I deserve more. I deserve excitement. I deserve passion. Meeting someone new. That's when I met Chris Matthews, a man who would change everything, and not for the better. I met him at a local community event in Austin. He was charming, confident, and had this aura of adventure around him. He worked in real estate and always had a story about his latest trip or business deal. Unlike David, he knew how to make me feel noticed. He complimented my dress, laughed at my jokes, and looked at me like I was the most interesting woman in the room. It didn't take long before we started spending more time together. Coffee dates turned into lunches. Lunches turned into dinners, and before I knew it, I was emotionally entangled. I started comparing David to Chris. While David came home sweaty and tired from fixing electrical circuits, Chris showed up in pressed shirts, smelling of expensive cologne, talking about investments and future plans. I told myself that Chris was a real man, someone who could give me the life I thought I deserved. The decision to leave. One night, after months of growing distance, I told David the words that shattered his heart. I don't think I want this marriage anymore. David looked at me with the kind of pain I'll never forget. He didn't yell. He didn't beg. He just asked one question. Is there someone else? I couldn't meet his eyes, but my silence answered for me. Within weeks, I packed my bags and moved in with Chris. My children were devastated. Emily refused to speak to me. Michael said I had betrayed Dad after all his years of sacrifice. Sophie, the youngest, cried and asked me why I would leave the family, but I ignored their voices. I told myself they would come around eventually, once they saw how happy I was. Life with Chris. At first, life with Chris felt like everything I dreamed of. We traveled, went to fancy restaurants, and he spoiled me with gifts. For the first time in years, I felt alive again. I thought I had made the right choice, but little cracks started to show. Chris wasn't the stable provider David had been. His business deals often fell through. He lived beyond his means, constantly borrowing money or maxing out credit cards. When I questioned him, he brushed it off with charm, promising that the next deal would fix everything. Then, his temper started to surface. He wasn't patient like David. If something went wrong, he snapped. Sometimes he belittled me, calling me ungrateful when I complained. And unlike David, who always came home to me, Chris was unpredictable. Some nights he wouldn't return until late, with vague excuses about meetings or clients. The collapse. 2 years into the relationship, everything fell apart. Chris's business ventures failed one after another. Debts piled up, and creditors began calling. He became distant, spending more time out of the house. I later discovered he was seeing another woman. When I confronted him, he shrugged and said, "You knew what you were getting into." Maybe you should go back to your boring husband if you want stability. Just like that, the man I had given up everything for discarded me. I was left with nothing. No savings, no partner, and worst of all, no family to turn to. Ugh. Facing the consequences. I tried reaching out to my kids, but they wanted nothing to do with me. Emily said, "You chose him over us. You broke Dad's heart. Why should we forgive you now?" Michael told me, "Dad may not have been exciting, but he was there for us every single day. You left when we needed you." Sophie simply blocked my number. As for David, he moved on. The last I heard, he was seeing someone new, a kind woman from his church. I can only imagine she appreciates the steady, reliable man I once took for granted. Reflection. Now, I sit in a small rented apartment in Dallas alone with my thoughts. I scroll through old family photos and wonder how I could have been so blind. I traded loyalty, love, and stability for the illusion of excitement. I thought I was chasing happiness, but all I found was emptiness. If I could go back, I would choose differently. I would see the value in a man who quietly fixed the leaky sink, who showed up to every parent-teacher conference, who loved me without conditions. David wasn't flashy, but he was real. He was the kind of man who built a life with me brick by brick, and I tore it all down chasing a fantasy. Now I am broke. I am alone. And my kids won't even speak to me. This is the price of my choices, a price far greater than I ever imagined. Closing thoughts. If anyone listening to my story takes away one lesson, let it be this. Don't throw away something real for something that only looks exciting on the surface. Grass isn't greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. I learned this too late. But maybe, just maybe, someone else can learn from my mistakes before they lose everything.